Hi, everybody. So, this is one of my maybe more controversial posts. It's about being single, uh, without estrogen, basically, and having cancer. And so, for me, I had my ovaries removed a little over 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago, because I was stage 4 at the time and the ovaries were feeding my cancer. Um, it was funny because during that time, where I was still had the residual hormones. Hormones drive us to find mates, to reproduce, to find love. But love, it oftentimes is more about reproduction than it is about an emotional companion. So, being ovary suppressed or having no ovaries at all, it really does. It can change your perspective on the whole act of finding a companion or a sexual mate or whatever you want to call it. It's not to say that without hormones, without the estrogen, which is being blocked by my medication, what little hormones I have left, because not ovaries are a major producer, but there are other parts of your body that do produce estrogen at a much lower rate. But that's being blocked as well by the aromatase inhibitors. Anyway, so I've come, over the last few years, I've just kind of the point where I have absolutely no desire to find a sexual partner. I mean, not to say I don't have any sex drive at all. It's very low. It's always been very low, though. I've discovered and through my life, I'm approaching 50, that the sex drive for women often is strongest in the beginning of a relationship and then wanes towards the end, or well, towards after a couple of years. But for guys, I don't think it's quite the same. The guys, their sex drive is high a lot, and that seems to be a problem for a lot of relationships. Um, but not being driven by my hormones anymore. I see the world in a completely different view, and it's just astounding that so much of what I see on TV, hear on the radio, the advertisements, everything is so sexually driven. And I understand the need for sex. Our human species, all animal species, anything that lives and reproduces, it's an important part of our species propagation into the future. But the human species doesn't have a problem with that. I mean, there are countries like Japan that are experiencing a decline in birth rates, and that's alarming for them. And I know the birth rates have dropped in other countries as well. I think the United States has seen a reduction. Um, but the human species is not any immediate threat of not breeding itself into obscurity. But yet our media, our radio, our movies, even my favorite show, Star Trek, it has sexual inferences in it, but modern TV and modern music, it's just covered in it, and it's everything, and it's no wonder our kids are so sexual, and the clothes that they have to buy at the store are so sexual, at least for the girls. I mean, if you looked at the clothes back in the 70s and 80s and what hookers looked like, that's what our little girls are wearing now. And it just makes my stomach turn, because we're telling our little girls they need to be sexual to be attractive. We are not teaching our young people how important it is to look into a person's character, into their actions, and to value that rather than their sexual ability to please you. Because stuff happens to those parts of the body and they stop working for some people. And if that's the only thing that's keeping the relationship together, then that's big trouble. We sexual attraction is an important part of a relationship. It's a beginning. It opens the door. But we still are focusing on that as a primary um, aspect of a person that we look for in a lifetime mate, when we are looking at a sex which is not a lifetime occurrence for everybody. So when that sex is gone, the relationship falls apart, and then that leaves broken hearts and broken homes and kids with one parent, and then kids grow up seeing their parents going through that, and they think that's normal. We don't want them to do that. So this being hormonally suppressed, or whatever you want to call me, and people like me, men and women, going through different forms of cancer or other ailments have caused the hormones to be basically neutralized. Um, I see the world in a different look now, and it really worries me. But I'm not just saying sex is bad. It does, it has its perks, but it shouldn't be the primary focus of our entire existence. And it pretty much is, besides money. Sex and money are the two primary focuses. I think most people can agree with that. Not everybody, of course, because not everybody thinks the same. But, yeah. So, one of the things everybody's going to die. And one of the things I wanted to talk about was my observations about society. And I live in California, so it's a warm state. People dress, scantily anyway. Not me. Almost every video you see me in a white t-shirt and I'm wearing jeans. Okay, so that's pretty much me every day. I work out with animals and pants, and this is the smartest outfit to wear because white is cool and the jeans protect your legs from bug bites and scratches and stuff. But yeah, short shorts don't do good out in the country with barbed wire and wire fencing and bugs and flies, and no, bad idea. But yet there are girls out there who will wear short shorts with boots. I know they're trying to look cute, they're trying to use that sexual appeal, but then again, here we are. So women, we are dressing ourselves in an unsafe manner, which we think is cute. It's really impractical. But, like I said, I understand because that's what we've been told to dress like that. The media says, oh, that's so cute to dress with short shorts and boots. It's so cute. You're just telling men what it is that you're looking for. And when you dress like that, you're telling men you're looking for sex. And now, for some women, this may be true. But I don't think every woman understands that when you dress like hookers did back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, that was to attract men for sex. So men's brains look for, if they see a lot of skin, if we see a lot of boobs, cleavage, whatever you want to call it, it's a turn on. Men are biologically driven to reproduce, just like women are. But for women, it's different. It's not quite the same. We look for a companion who will provide a good partner to take care of us and the family as it grows. Men just want to reproduce. I mean, I'm not saying all men don't want to be family men, but it's a biological urge. Even when men are happily married and they're wonderful fathers, that urge is still there underneath that. And the good men are able to suppress that, that urge to continuously find new mates to reproduce with. That is, look at the chimp world, look at the ape world, okay? It's not a bad thing. It's just biology. Don't be mad at men for that, okay? But women, you have to understand this. Men are driven to reproduce, to spread their seed far and wide. You look at the animal world, it's like that everywhere. And a lot of men do ignore that drive once they find a companion. But there are those who simply just don't have the fortitude to do that. So when you go out there dressing like a streetwalker from the 70s, you're going to attract men who are looking for sex, and they may not always be men of good character, So if you're looking for a lifetime companion, it's okay to dress, professionally, to show a little bit of femininity, but to dress like women who are looking for sex, that's the main focus. You're not attracting men interested in you. You're attracting men interested in what's under your clothes. Okay? Not to say that eventually you might fall in love, but that's the initial attraction is sex. So if you're wanting to attract a man for sex, then continue dressing provocatively. But if you're looking to meet somebody to fall in love with and to stay with for the rest of your life, you need to get to know people. You need to get to understand their character, and it takes time. Even if you do find a companion through dating sites or what have you, the newness takes time to wear off. Sometimes a couple of years for it to wear off. And it takes time to really get to know somebody. A lot of people when they are dating, they will hide some of their traits they know might be undesirable. I have my kitties up there. And they don't get, until they get comfortable with you, then they start showing these traits that you might find undesirable. But if you get married really fast, you're stuck with that. You can get divorced, but then there's all the other things that go along with divorce. And, if you have kids with them, that just compounds the problem big time. Because even if you don't get married and you have kids, you're talking about child support and visitation, and you're stuck dealing with that person for the next 18, 20 years, depending on, how soon after divorce and childbirth there is. So, basically my whole rant about this is please, we need to focus as a nation, as a world, on character and integrity. We don't need to focus on greed and sex. A lot of religions consider those two things, not so holy, shall we say. And there's a reason for it, because it does lead down to paths of, not so good intentions. But if we all look for people with integrity, people who don't lie to us, people who treat other people well, even if they don't like them, with respect. I have people that I completely disagree with, and I try to deal with everybody in respect. That means not calling people names. There used to be a time I used to call people names. I used to be there. But since that time, I have come to realize that that is not in any way helpful to anybody to call names. And we have a lot of politicians that do that on both sides of the fence, and I really wish they would stop doing that. It doesn't show maturity of any kind, and an intelligence of any kind. But we sometimes do things when we're emotionally disturbed. Not permanently, but disturbed by something that makes our emotions come out. But our society is just not focused on integrity and compassion and character. It's focused on sex and money, and that's taking us down a very selfish road. And that's why there's so much suffering in the world right now. And it's sometimes it gets really depressing. But you have to remember, not everybody is like that. The TV and the news, the radio, it glorifies people like that because they're so outrageous. But it makes it feel like, when we see it over and over and over again, it makes it feel like everybody's like that. And really, we're not all like that. But when we keep hearing the same message from so many different places, we begin to believe it. And then we begin to believe, well, if that person's being like that, then why should I try so hard to be a good person, to have integrity, to be trustworthy, to have good ethics, good morals, whatever you want to call it. If everybody's seeing everybody as bad, then more people are going to quit trying to be good. And, the whole sex and greed thing is it's ruining our world. But back to the sex thing. Like I said, not all sex is bad, but having our whole world focus on it and basically brainwash our young people that that's the most important thing in life is sex, then that's where I have the problem with it. It's an important part of relationships. It's a way for people to express how they feel for each other, one way, because not everybody, again, is able to have sex. For maybe they're crippled, maybe they have ED, maybe they have, vaginal problems, maybe they don't have a vagina because they had cancer. There's so many different reasons why people can't have sex, okay? But there's other ways to show you love somebody, not just sex. And I think a lot of people have forgotten that. So I hope this has been interesting for some folks. I know it's not my usual cancer thing, but cancer really did have a huge part in bringing this way of thinking on. If I'd still had my hormones, I'd probably still out there be hunting for my next partner, and I haven't had many in my life. And I haven't had a partner since 2014, so it's been 6 years. And I don't miss it. I've come to enjoy my single life. I can do what I want, when I want, how I want, and where I want. And I'm pretty self-sufficient. I kind of consider, I'm a masculine woman, so I can do a lot of things a guy would do for a wife. I do my own fixing. I do my own yard work. I do my own fence fixing. I check on my own car. There's certain things I don't know how to do. That's when I go hire somebody, or I ask somebody who does know. But just not having hormones because of the cancer has taught me a lot about what really is important in life. And sex is not really important in life. It is important in some ways, to an extent. And it's very important to some people. And if you're dating, you need to know if that person you're dating with if sex is most important or not. I really think that these dating sites really need to include like a sex meter. Like, how often do you have to have it in order to feel happy? Because I've experienced in past relationships, and I've known people who've had past relationships, that their marriage or relationships have fallen apart because of a difference in sexual drive. But then again, that also goes to the point where we haven't really learned as a species, as a culture, how to make each other happy other than sex. There's more ways to be happy other than sex, but not saying not everybody, but there's a big portion of people that way. But I really hope someday our world, we take the time to teach our young people that character is important. Lying is not good. Cheating is not good. To punish that stuff and to value those who have the integrity of, to be put on a pedestal. I mean, it's so rare to find people of high integrity. I mean, I'm not perfect. I make my mistakes, but I value my integrity. I try to treat people with respect no matter how I feel about them. Even if they differ from me, I want to know why they think that way rather than calling them names. But again, the whole sex thing is it's tarnishing our society. It's tarnishing our world because it's just, I mean, I understand sex. I understand that men like to look at naked women and women like to look at naked men. That is just, it gets the hormones driving, it gets the sex drive up, it makes us excited. We have a release of endorphins at an orgasm. I get that. But to make our entire society circling around the sex subject is just irrational. It's illogical. We need to put our focus instead on sex, on character. We need to teach our kids what is important about character. And that sex is only a part of a relationship, not the main aspect of it. So I'll probably have another discussion about this some other time in the future, but I know I tend to ramble around as with the chemo brain. Some days my brain is good, and other days it's just like the lights are on, but no one's home. But I think these are just ideas and things I really want to share with the world before my time comes, because I'm hoping somebody out there will take these ideas and thoughts and say, hey, yeah, I kind of agree with that too, and maybe the idea will grow, and someday, maybe not in my lifetime, maybe not even my kids' lifetime, but someday, as a society, as a world, we will value integrity and character more than anything else, because with that comes compassion, and with that becomes less suffering, and with that comes a happier world. As always, take care of yourself, find your joy, and share it with everybody around you.